Welcome to Film School Dropouts, everyone, a movie podcast in which each season we cover a director's full filmography. This season, we're covering M. Night Shyamalan, and today's episode is on Unbreakable. My name is James, and I'm here with a fragile bag of bones.
I'm afraid of stairs.
Yeah, me too, after watching this movie. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. But I mean, before we get into Unbreakable, as always, we should kick things off with a little movie segment, right?
Yeah, have you seen anything you liked lately?
Yeah. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to talk about a director who we would probably never cover, but not because their filmography is bad or their filmography is boring, because it would be a really hard thing to do. So the director's name is Tsai Ming-liang. He's I believe a Hong Kong director, kind of a big independent Chinese director of the 90s.
Okay.
His filmography is great. He's only got like 11 movies, and he's got a new one coming out this year, getting great reviews. I love him to death. The problem is, like, for you and me to spend a whole season talking about him, it would be a lot of you being like, why are there no words in this movie? Like, and me being like, yeah, no, it's cool. The camera just stares at like an empty movie theater for 12 minutes straight. And like, I love his movies, but it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how rich the conversation would be aside from me loving them and you being like, are these even movies? But the movie I want to talk about, the one I want to highlight, is his debut, called Rebels of the Neon God.
Okay, that's a mouthful of a title.
It's a good title.
Yeah,
it's a really good title.
No, I like the title.
I love that title.
Rebels of the Neon God.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the thing about Tsai is, like, as his filmography goes on, his movies have less and less dialogue and have longer and longer shots of nothing happening.
Right.
Yes. So, but his first movie has, just by proxy, has the most dialogue and the most things happening. It's still a very slow, kind of sparse movie, but it's essentially just about these youths growing up in the city, and like one of them has like a buddy who, like, him, and they like break into like payphones to steal money, and they like rip off arcade games. Like, they're kind of like hoodlums, like little petty criminals. And then the main character sort of follows them and sort of has this fascination with them. And it's just kind of about like weird young men being confused and not knowing what to do with their lives. And that's like the whole movie.
Okay.
It's a really good, like, kind of, it's just a really good, like, kind of coming of age, but
sure,
it doesn't hit any of those tropes at all, because, like I said, the dude is just like pure slow cinema. Everything is just like sparse and nothing. But the soundtrack rules. It's this really minimalist, like, synth soundtrack. Kind of has like this really cool synthy bass to it. Love it. Had it stuck in my head.
What year did this one come out? What was
Rebels? This has got to be like 92, I think.
Oh, mine's from 91. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rebels of the Neon God was 1992. But I mean, I implore everyone to go seek his movies out and watch them. They're really good. It's just one of those things where I don't think you and I would have like really interesting things to say.
You'd say it's kind of like an acquired taste?
Definitely acquired taste. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds all right. Well, maybe, I mean, if the debut has most dialogue, then that one sounds probably the one that's most up my alley.
That's probably the one you're going to want to watch. Yeah.
Because me, I'm the sort, I love Sorkin's that, I love that dialogue, but
yeah, very sparse. What do you got?
I got one. It's by a guy. We're probably not going to cover his movies. He's a 90s guy. He did like 4 in a row that were, they kind of trended down.
Okay.
But then he, for the last, like, I don't know, 20 years, he's done nothing but TV. So his name's John Evnett.
Not familiar, but okay, go on.
But this is a classic, and I'm very confident you've seen this because most people have. It's classic. Stars Kathy Bates and Jessica Tandy.
Okay.
Fried green tomatoes.
Okay. Wow. All right. Cool.
Yeah. I went fried green tomatoes with it. I was really close because the one right after this, it's called The War with Elijah Wood as a kid and Kevin Costner.
Oh,
I've heard cry your eyes out, and I almost put that one, but I went with the bigger crowd.
Yeah, that's a classic. Yeah. People have seen it. I think I've seen that movie. It's been a very long time. I remember like maybe that was the one where like my mom was watching it and I watched it with her.
Sure. Yeah,
but you know what I mean? Like that's like a typical
one of my grandma's favorite movies.
Sure, exactly. That's its legacy. But it's good.
And anytime, I can't get enough Kathy Bates. I think everyone has
She's incredible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a feel-good movie. It's actually a little dark.
It is, isn't it?
A little bit. It gets a little dark there at the end. I don't, spoiler alert, because it's been
For fried green tomatoes.
Yeah, they eat a guy,
with fried green tomatoes. It's a lovely
they serve
dish.
up a guy, investigator, there's a murder, investigators investigating the murder, and they serve the guy to the investigator.
I guess you could say it is a little dark. Yeah.
A little bit, only because the investigator follows it up with, "This is the greatest meal I've ever had."
Yum.
Right.
Always been curious, gotta say.
Yeah, but there's a lot of good. What? Pardon? No, there's some good moments in it. It's feel good. It's family friendly. Besides, it's not that part, but everything else. There's a little trial in it too, and everyone loves a good trial.
Love a trial,
Everyone loves a trial in a movie.
I love a good trial.
So yeah, that was on. Kept it on because watched it the whole way.
Love it. I love that. Yeah. All right. Well, shoot, you ready to turn the color saturation way down and get really monochromatic? Hop in our pillow car and.
Why are you looking at me like that?
There are two reasons why I'm looking at you like this. One, because it seems you are the only survivor of this train wreck. And two, you don't have a scratch on you.
I know what's going through your mind right now. You're searching for meaning in all of this. Know one thing. 131 people died so you could finally understand the destiny for which you were born. Are you ready for the truth?
I wanted it, because the other episode you brought up a good point, the difference between a twist and a reveal.
Yeah, why don't we talk about that really quick before we get into the movie proper, if you want to dive deeper into that. I think M. Night truly has 3 twists in his entire career.
And I saw an article the other day and had the top 5 best M. Night twists and the top 5 worst M. Night twists. Okay. And most of them were like, I agree.
That's not really a twist.
That's not a twist. That's a reveal. Like the water in Signs.
Not a twist. That's just a reveal.
That's
just a thing. I don't really think this movie has a twist.
It's a reveal. I would say it's a reveal.
I think that the big twists are obviously The Sixth Sense, The Village, and Split. Those are the 3 I think that have like true twists. And the twist in Split is like insane because it's not a twist of the movie. It's like a twist of like the medium.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like a reveal too.
No, we'll get into it because I think that is like has the same effect.
So I view twist as like taking the plot in like doing a 180 with the plot almost, or like something massive that changes the whole layout of the film. I
think the key to a good twist, or at least the key to a twist, is it should change everything that you've seen before. Otherwise, it's just like new information, right? When you watch The Usual Suspects, the end of that movie hits and you're like, okay, let me just regroup really quick. You know what I mean? That's a twist.
Like a twist, like we did talk about last week. It's something where you want to instantly throw it back on so you can see.
Right. So yeah, but I do think because the nature of M. Night's game, which is, the thriller suspense movie, there are often, big reveals, moments of shock that have to happen. And because of the groundbreaking twist of The Sixth Sense, everyone immediately labels everything he does as a twist, which is not always a twist.
No. Yeah. I mean,
there's no twist in Lady in the Water. I mean, there's not anything in Lady in the Water, but like, that's same with The Happening. There's nothing no twist in The Happening.
Yeah. As far as The Happening goes, that's
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that episode. That's going to be our longest one yet. 3 hours.
Geez, yeah. What?
Yeah.
No.
I would never do that, man.
What? No. Like, Jesus. All right.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah.
So last week we covered Bruce Willis. Tell me, when's the first time you saw Unbreakable?
I guess let's get into it. So Unbreakable, another one that this might have been one of those things where like my dad showed me The Sixth Sense. I was like, hell yeah. And then he just immediately, I think, showed me Unbreakable and Signs because those were out, and maybe The Village too. I distinctly remember Lady in the Water being the first M. Night movie I saw in theaters with my dad.
Oh, okay, cool.
I know. Yeah, no, that was
way to set the bar pretty low.
Way down there. Yeah, so I think I watched his first 4 proper movies like within like a week or two. Just sort of like devoured them. And this was one of them. The thing that was interesting about this one for me was, and I really do remember the poster for this movie is very austere. You know, it's kind of just black with like a shatter design to it. And then like Bruce Willis's face here and Samuel Jackson's face here, very minimal, just says Unbreakable. I remember growing up having seen that poster for a couple years and just thinking like, oh, it's like a Bruce Willis movie, you know, like it's probably just like an action movie or whatever, just one of his movies. I didn't know anything about the movie. So when my dad like played it for me and the movie starts off with inexplicably just a bunch of statistics on comic books, I'm like, wait, what is this thing? And then I, was just enraptured with it because I was sort of blindsided by it. I didn't really know that it was going to be what it was. And now it's just, I love this movie. So my first time was sort of like me just being like, wait, and just being thrilled that I was being surprised by it.
Yeah. I mean, so we've like we talked, we've gone at length about superheroes and comic books before.
Yep. Yeah. We did a whole trilogy.
Yeah. But this is,
different.
Well, it's different, but we've noted that superheroes and comic book stories, they're not for everyone.
No.
Okay. I went and saw this movie in the theater with my mom when it came out. She was not a fan.
Oh, she didn't like this movie?
No, she did not like this movie.
Rude, but okay.
Because of superheroes and comic book,
Really? Because that's
there's a large portion of the population that just lacks imagination.
No. See, I can get that. I don't think my mom's going, rushing to the theaters to see fucking the Suicide Squad either. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole genre. And if you're not into it, you're not into it. Not liking Unbreakable is surprising to me because it's so anti all of that. It was already subverting what the superhero genre was before that entire genre of cinema had become mainstream. What, in 2000, I think only X-Men was out, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, the Batman's, but I guess he's not a superhero. Superman, whatever.
Right.
Spider-Man was 2001, so this is before that.
Yeah,
but no, I get what you're saying because if anything, it gives this movie. First off, it holds up.
I love it. Yeah, it definitely holds up. I was watching it yesterday. I texted you yesterday. I'm like, fuck it, I'm watching it right now, and you're like, fuck it, me too. And within seconds, I was just like, I already wanted to start texting you, being like, God damn, this thing is awesome, because it just immediately grabs your attention with the movement of it and its weird tone. I love it. But yes, go on. It totally holds up.
No, it definitely holds up, and it's I want to say it's refreshing in the age we're in now with all these superheroes. Well, I know you're foaming at the mouth.
I'm gonna keep it cool, but go ahead.
Yeah, just ready to unleash on the MCU. Yeah. I will say that.
Hey, you know what? It's not MCU specific because I watched the Suicide Squad and I felt the same thing. But
oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. It's fine. Yeah, Aquaman is the only thing that does it for me now. Aquaman is the only modern superhero movie that really gets my rocks off. So
until your Flash comes out, right?
I don't think I'm gonna like it
until your Batman comes out, right?
Okay, now
there.
What can I do? Yeah, it's Bob. Okay, what can I do?
Michael Keaton back as Batman.
Yeah, it doesn't excite me with the shit that they do on the CW, where it's like, oh, we got a fucking Brandon Routh is playing super like. And what they're doing with the new Spider-Man movie looks really boring to me, where like they're just pulling on your nostalgia instead of writing a story.
No. I think they're taking the best.
Oh God, we're gonna get into this.
Yeah, we're getting into it because everyone that has seen Alfred Molina. If anything from our Paul Thomas Anderson season that I took away, it's how underrated is Alfred Molina in everything.
I've been beating that drum for years. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what they've done,
and his Doc Ock is iconic.
You're right. They're taking the best parts, and it's just like they're spoiling me. They're absolutely spoiling me, and I'm loving it.
I'm very happy for you. I think the movie the trailer looks visually bad, and I'm just worried that like they're literally just doing this thing where like, okay, the internet reaction to the new Spider-Man trailer,
355 million views, broke
okay,
all.
I'm not talking about stats. I'm literally talking about the words people are saying.
Okay.
No one is saying, I'm so excited for this new Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. No one's saying like, oh, this is going to be a great chapter in the Spider-Man trilogy. Everyone's just like, man, Spider-Man 2 was so good. I'm glad they're just fucking bringing that back. Because like, no one gives a shit about this Tom Holland Spider-Man. He's got a fucking little Iron Man Jr. suit. Like, this shit sucks. And they're just like, well, you liked Alfred Molina, right? And everyone's like, yeah. So they're just bringing him back.
We're getting Willem Dafoe as Goblin. We're getting Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman, Jamie Foxx, Electro.
The thing is, those movies already exist, man.
But not all together. Not the best parts all thrown in the blender. No, I'm down. And I'm an MCU slappy.
I know you are. We're on opposite ends of the.
No, it's like the best thing going in my life right now. Like it's to the point where I want to know what Thanos was cooking the morning they killed him on Titan.
Well, I'm sure that there's some kind of web series that explains that.
No,
that'll be on Disney Plus next year.
But that's how much I'm foaming at the mouth for every little bit of content I could get. Like right after Unbreakable, I threw on Endgame again. It's just cut, man.
No. Anyway, so yeah, Unbreakable. Let's talk about a movie I like.
Yeah. Let's talk about the beginning of it. How great is that beginning?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. So the movie starts. Oh, I don't even know how to like begin gushing over this movie because I spent a lot of time in the last episode talking about how much I love Tak Fujimoto, who is the cinematographer on the Sixth Sense. Cinematographer on this movie, Eduardo Serra, most known for this and the last two Harry Potter movies. Not a super like. I mean, he's a very talented cinematographer, but like not on the Tak Fujimoto level where like I know him by name and could tell you like 10 of his credits off the top of my head.
Sure.
But all that being said, the incredible thing that he does with this movie, A, the colors, B, these long shots are just something else, man.
Well, I text you right off the bat. I'm like, is this all one shot?
Incredible.
Well, before we even get to that, you get a kind of a really jarring scene where Mr. Glass is born, and Eamon Walker, he's great. He doesn't get enough roles.
So good.
He blew my mind on The Wire.
Okay.
And now I remember after watching that series, I went back and watched this movie, and I'm like, oh, that's him. Yeah. And I'm just, I don't know.
Incredible one scene performance in this movie.
Yep.
The opening of this movie is extremely upsetting.
Yeah. I think he's on IMDb. He's the sixth build.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's not a lot of people in this.
No, it's a small cast. Everyone does their job. Maybe the exception of Robin Wright, just not a lot to do, a little flat.
Okay, see, I'm sort of on the other end of that spectrum. I totally agree with you. She doesn't get anything to do, but I think that the couple of scenes where she's able to flex, she really elevates the material. But I'm not gonna like disagree with you. Like she's definitely given the least shit to do. It's a very like the wife role,
Yeah, it's a small subplot, marital problems. It kind of just like associates with.
I do think she's super good in a couple scenes though, but we can get to those when we get to them.
I like the one scene she wasn't happy. I don't know. She didn't do much for me.
Are you a Robin Wright fan?
I am.
Okay. Yeah. Love her. Yeah.
Yeah. She's talented as can be.
She's great.
When she took over for the monster on House of Cards, that last season was terrible, but she was creepy and good. Yeah.
Woof. So the opening is extremely upsetting. It's Mr. Glass being born, and it's this right off the bat single take shot.
Yeah, and
it's staged so well where like you have
with the reflection in the mirrors.
A mirror on one wall, and like the woman is lying in front of the mirror, the doctor is kneeling in front of her, and then like the nurses are standing behind him, and the camera's at this weird angle where like the camera can look into the mirror and the doctor's looking into the camera through the mirror and then like at the women behind him. And he's able to talk to everyone in the room just by looking up and down from the mirror. And
I loved it.
It's incredible.
And how the one nurse is like, she kind of takes offense when she asks, or when he asks.
What?
Yeah. And the mom, is he supposed to be crying this much? Because
her reaction when he says that like his arms and legs are broken, where she just goes into like a frenzied cry, is very good.
The whole scene, that's all great. Love the first scene.
Really.
Then right on the heels of that, you're on a train ride.
Opening credits.
You're meeting David Dunn, played
another
by Bruce Willis.
Extremely long shot. This movie has so many long shots. I forgot. Like we talked about it a lot in the Paul Thomas Anderson series because he has a lot of these like really long single shot, know. I forgot that this movie has like 4 or 5 shots that go on for like a couple minutes.
Yeah, there are some. Well, I think maybe with Paul Thomas Anderson, they're kind of just the way he stylizes them.
He's so flashy. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, these are subtle. And the whole time I'm watching, because you're on this train and you're meeting this character, and right off the bat, you find out he's kind of a sleaze because
he immediately takes his wedding ring off when he sees there's a woman with a fucking stomach tattoo. It's like staring right at her tummy as she's putting her luggage up.
Well, it's cool because the camera shows you kind of you're seeing it with him. Like every time.
I think that the movement of the camera is really like playful in this scene where it's like, look, and then you find out at the end of the scene, it's from the perspective of the girl sitting in the scene, the seat in front of him, because he like after the whole interaction, he looks and she's looking at him with this kind of disapproving look on her face, and you're like, oh my god, that's great, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's a really long shot though. Yeah, it's him like flirting.
Yeah.
Strikes out hard.
Well, he probably shouldn't be flirting with a chick.
No, he's married.
Right? But at the same time, all he did was ask her how long she's staying in town, and she's like, I gotta leave. He wants to bang me or something. Like, I don't know. I get it, girls. I'm sorry.
Oh
like,
no!
Geez, God forbid. God forbid a little chit chat on the ride.
Well, lucky for you, she pays the ultimate price.
Well, yeah, I guess. Someone else is going to be having a scout that athlete.
So this scene's crazy. Yeah, it's a long single shot take. Whatever. He's flirting with the lady. You could see that he sort of feels embarrassed at the end of it. I guess we need to really quickly highlight how sad this movie is, and not in like this movie's so sad, but like the movie itself just feels like it's having a bad day. It's just such a somber blue movie.
David Dunn, his character, obviously the marital issues. Like he's in the process of interviewing for a new job in New York because him and his wife are going to separate. They've been together a long time. They even have a kid, but it's just not working out.
Right.
And so that his whole mindset from the very beginning, before we even meet him, he's sad. He's not. This is a rough time in his life. Yep. And then the events unfold.
Well, they unfold. Yeah. But I just really quick, I also like that their marriage isn't falling apart because like he cheated on her or like she's drunk or anything like that. It's such a common thing. And like he hits on it in such a, I don't want to say subtle way, but in a way that like just feels very natural, where it's like, no, they just kind of fell out of love. And like that sucks, but it just happens.
Oh no, I went the other way with it. I thought that whole subplot with the marriage and all that would seem very unneeded, just like place setting. But what makes it feel involved is the fact that if David Dunn was experiencing fulfilling that part of that missing spot, that hero part, then the marriage would not have any issues. But his whole life is falling apart because there's this unfulfilled thing in him. Yeah,
there's like a hole in his life.
Right.
And he just can't fill it.
Yeah. And that's as he becomes more and more a hero, or like at the end when you see the marriage is instantly like he's happy.
I just love that it's not a thing
where never like happy, but
no. I just love that the marriage falling apart isn't like a really dramatic, like you betrayed me thing. It's just like this. Yeah. It's really just a case of like unhappiness, which is so much more painful in a way, because like it's something that we can all relate to, whether we've done good or bad things. It's just like, yeah, I know what that's like to just be depressed, like it sucks.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, it's probably the hardest way to end a relationship. If someone cheats on someone, then it's like, okay,
that's an easy out, and you can just be mad.
Bye.
Right.
But just falling out of love, that's
or just being depressed.
I don't even. And the reason those things are happening because he's not who he's supposed to be.
Exactly.
So that's why the whole marriage subplot. Because at first I was like, is this needed? But no, it's a representation of David Dunn and who he is and what he's going through.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And I just want to say, I'm not trying to dredge up like another like anti-MCU like modern superhero debate.
I'm ready.
This is just pure praise for this movie. The conversation you and I are having right now, we could never have with any other fucking superhero movie. Like, no other superhero movies deal with this kind of just like very simple human emotion. It all, you know what I mean?
You could definitely say that this is a more adult themed.
Well, this is why I was saying I was surprised when you said that your mom was like, no, I don't like it because of superheroes. Because this movie is like, this is the superhero movie you show to adults when you're a kid. You know what I mean? Like, this is the one that they can connect to, because I think one of the things everyone took away from the Dark Knight trilogy that just sort of ruined what could be like cool superhero movies, not all of them, I'm just saying like a bad lesson people took away, is the whole idea that superhero movies should be gritty and grounded and realistic. You know, the idea that Zack Snyder's superhero movies are gritty and grounded and realistic are hilarious to me, because like that dude is so like masochistic and like everything has to be like a Jesus analogy. His characters aren't real to me, but I think this movie, Unbreakable, is the most grounded, realistic version of a superhero movie we're ever going to see, because like it's just not about like spandex wearing like super gods flying through the sky. It's about like a sad man at a security job who's like a little bit stronger than everyone else, and I love that. And like, you know, the freaking climactic battle is like him getting thrown into some drywall, and that's the end of the fight. I love the simplicity of it.
Well, I mean, the third act alone is incredible, but no, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying, but you know, him touching people and seeing into their minds versus a rich guy putting on a suit of armor or something. A
nanotech suit that like,
well, it didn't start as normal nanotech. It started with him doing the circuits in the tiny. I know.
I'm agreeing with you.
No, but I they do. I agree. This is the movie shown to adults because there are things, and more than anything, it's a slow build. You're not overwhelmed. You're not hit over the head with it right away. You're learning with David Dunn throughout the movie. You're slow. You're getting little bit by little bit by little bit.
All right, so let's move along in the plot a little bit here. So his train crashes. We don't see it. We get to see like the moment right before it happens where everyone starts to look around.
When the train starts going faster and faster.
Well, that's it. That's the moment.
How cool is that?
The train starts going faster and faster, and then the camera starts to like swivel around to look at the people around, and you can tell they're all a little nervous for some reason. And you're just like, whoa, what's going on? And then like the light behind him fades really bright to white, and then cut to the next scene. You don't get to see it.
People holding the handrails.
Like it's an airplane crash or something.
Maybe I'm a sucker for close-ups, but there's a couple in this movie when he just zooms in and he gets like pretty close to like Bruce's face, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. And that's one of the times right before it goes to white. And then the next scene you wake up, you get, speaking of House Cards, well, a little weird, Michael Kelly as the doctor.
Oh, was that him?
That's it. I recognized the voice.
I recognized him. I was like, he looks really familiar. Okay.
The voice instantly. I was like, oh, that's him.
This is the like one of the other like incredible long takes.
Love this shot. Love this whole scene.
This shot is set up
the whole
so
beginning
well.
of the movie. This is 3 scenes in a row.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you can't look away, and you get Mike Kelly talking to Bruce Willis on a gurney. Mm-hmm. And this whole time in the foreground,
right at the bottom of the screen,
you see kind of an operation or just, I don't know, just a patient being worked on. And you're getting kind of the explanation of this train. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. And the more this is going on, you're learning, he's the only survivor, not a single bone broken.
Not a scratch on him.
You see the blood and
it just starts to ooze out a little, and then the camera pushes in to get out of it.
And you go, in a moment, you're going to be the only survivor, or it seems like, I don't know, like,
well, it's great. And then it kind of fades from that. Well, with his dialogue going over the next scene, which is them walking out of the hospital. And
talk about Spencer, a transition. Yeah, this is my kind of transition. Let me get a little bit of both in leading into the next one. He's walking out of the room, and first thing you see as soon as he walks in the hallway is Bruce Willis's puppy dog turned up to.
The sad puppy dog we talked about. Yes.
Just like shell-shocked, shaken. Everyone is looking at him with these eyes. Like, imagine what these people are thinking too. Like, I want to know what.
That's the thing, is like when he walks out, the way everyone looks at him, you're just kind of like, oh boy, this is.
and then all of a sudden you see his son stand up and run towards him.
Oh. Yep. Well, I think we talked about last episode where he was like, we talked about the efficiency of storytelling in that first scene of The Sixth Sense, where you learn a lot of things without him beating you over the head. I think it's really similar here, because you get that first scene of him taking his wedding ring off and flirting with another woman, and you're like, not great. And then his wife and child come to pick him up from the hospital, where he is the only survivor of a horrible train wreck in which over 130 people died. His son runs up to him. They start walking out. His son takes both his mother and his father's hands and clasps them together to make them hold hands. And as soon as he like runs in front of them, they just like sort of like lethargically let go of each other's hands. Like he does all of this with no words, and you're like, okay, the marriage is on the fucking ropes. Like it's not going well.
It's tough because obviously these people have been together for quite a long time,
and the kid I think the thing that's really sad is like when the kid wants them to be happy, and like him putting their hands together, I'm like, oh man, he's into it. He knows his parents aren't happy together. That sucks.
Oh yeah, I mean the way Robin Wright is just like doesn't embrace him immediately, kind of tells the audience like, if he were to die, she wouldn't be that broken up over it. And it's just like, oh, this is rough.
It's rough. Yeah.
They head back to the house, and one of the first things she asks him is, how did it go in New York? And,
it's kind of weird. So I want to get out in front of this and say this really quick. I love this movie to death. It's probably my favorite M. Night movie. I love this thing. It's got a lot of flaws. There's a lot of things wrong with this movie, but it's just like one of those things where the sum of the parts is greater than the parts themselves. And the flaw of like, wait, who wrote this scene where like he comes back from this like horribly traumatic accident, and she's like, so you moving to New York, or what's the deal with that? Like, just no other no beating around the bush. It's a little shitty.
We already got that they're having problems,
right?
I don't think that scene was, it's just, you hit me twice with it. Like, I already know but then he doubles down. He says, I'm still moving to New York, but not for a while.
Right. Didn't get the job or whatever. All right. So then we get another flashback to Elijah when he's a little older.
Price, played by Samuel Jackson.
Yes, Mr. Glass himself.
Mr. Glass.
Yeah, played brilliantly by Samuel Jackson, by the way. I mean, it's sort of like redundant to say that Samuel Jackson is good in a movie, because even when he's lazy, he's good.
That's the thing. That I think that might be his gift is he doesn't have to dominate a film. Like he can. He's so good at just being.
I love him in this.
Yeah. Well, no, he's great as.
This is one of my favorites. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, it's a young Elijah. He's probably like 13 or something like that.
Yeah, flashback to the 70s. They're all wearing 70s clothes.
Oh yeah. We've learned that he has this like terrible disease where like his bones are brittle.
Yeah.
So they break really easily. He's already in this scene. He's got a cast around his arm, and his mother's like, "Hey, you got to go outside. I like put a present out there." And they go down. He's like, "Oh, someone's gonna steal it." And she's like, "Go fucking get it." And he's like, "I'm gonna break my whole my skeleton or whatever."
Hurry up and go get it. Oh, I love this scene.
The mom's good. The
mom is good.
Yeah, the mom's good. So he goes down.
This kid actor is, who plays young Elijah. I think this is his only credit on IMDb.
Oh, really?
On IMDb, it's his photo is from this movie. So.
It's just this movie.
Yeah. So
wonder what he did. Wonder what he went up to do.
Yeah, I don't
know. Anyways, he goes down to the park and opens the gift, and it's a comic book.
Big purple gift. You get this pretty cool upside down shot.
Yeah, this weird. Yeah, that was a weird shot. I didn't. It was one of those things where I was like, okay, weird flex, but okay. Just
I mean, because I was like, oh no, it's supposed to represent. No, that doesn't.
His world is spinning upside down. Who gives? Okay, whatever, sure.
Oh, you know what? Because that's the first time he's being introduced to comics, so it's kind of like his world is being straightened a little bit.
You know what, Brent? I'll take it.
Sure, because that becomes his whole life. That from that moment
obsessed.
On.
Yes, it becomes me between the ages of 15 and 25
until skip 25 up to however.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So yeah, he goes down.
So I get it. That's pretty kind of cool. But.
We talked in the last episode about the scene where Haley Joel Osment's like, there should be a twist in this movie, and none of us picked up on it. He does it again in this movie, where the mother, 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 the mot is like telling him about the comic book, and he's like, oh, that's cool. And then she leans over and she goes, I hear this one has a surprise ending. I'm like, he's calling his shot again. He's doing it again. And there's this 2 movies in a row where he's just like, guess what, folks, this one's gonna be twisty. I love it.
Yeah, and he does. He kind of hits you over the head with it again. Well, you get it a couple times, like especially at the end.
Oh yeah,
right before with the mom again.
Yes. Yeah. What does she say? It's like, this one's a special edition Secret Origin or whatever she says.
Well, she basically explains the whole thing. She's
right.
Yeah, to Bruce. I'll let him know you're here.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, he's into comic books now. And then do we go straight from that to the funeral service?
Yeah, ceremony for every train victim that died, and obviously David Dunn goes. I think his son goes. Does his son go with him?
Yes,
there?
Because his son comes with him to limited edition. Oh, maybe no, because I don't think his son.
No, because he finds the card.
Yeah. Anyways, he finds this.
He's
little
leaving
card,
the church. Yeah.
And he has a little invitation to this place called Limited Edition, and that's when we see Samuel Jackson at his cool comic book. I've never seen a place like this. I've been an avid comic book fan my whole life. I have never seen a high-end, like artsy fartsy, prestigious comic book art gallery. I've never seen this in my life. And if I have, it's like
what do you mean?
It's like a pop-up. Like it's not like a permanent fixture in the city of Philadelphia that you can go and see this guy's, whatever. It's cool. It's called Limited Edition, and
if it was there, you would go?
Yeah, good. I mean, depending on
dress attire.
Sure, that, but like, just depending on what the stock is. I'm not going to go if he's just got like a bunch of shitty pages from, I don't know, whatever.
You wouldn't want to see like the black and white cover of like Superman #1.
I mean, obviously, yes, I would love to see that.
Right there.
I'm not
walking out into limited edition wearing my sport shorts and tank top. That's for sure. Eliza Price would kick me right out of that.
He would kick you right out. You need a long flowing purple duster. No, I'm not showing up for fucking, limited edition prints of Century Man or whatever the fuck this movie. Like, that's the thing that's weird about this movie.
The subtle change from Action Comics to Active Comics.
Well, the thing that's weird about this movie is like he has to make up fake comic books because he's not going to get the rights from Marvel or DC.
Sure.
Right. Like, so,
Although I saw a freaking Thor on the wall.
Well, no, that's the thing is when he goes to the actual comic book store, then you're introduced to the fact that like, okay, Thor and Daredevil and Nick Fury all exist. So like, what the fuck is this D-list shit that Elijah's obsessed with? Like, why? Like, he goes to the comic book store and he's like literally sitting in front of like the Marvel releases that week, and he's like, "I'll take Century Man #13, please." It's like, no, you're not. But okay, I get it. But yeah, it's just really funny. The comic book store scene is so funny to me.
It's ironic him being in front of like a Nick Fury.
I know, yeah, of course,
yeah.
But
that's
the thing. It's the thing. It's like that scene is him being surrounded by Marvel characters, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty prescient, actually. Like that's Samuel Jackson just goes on to be surrounded by Marvel characters at all time. Kind of funny.
Yeah. Cool.
M. Night knew it was happening.
Yeah, right off the bat, you learn that this is his whole life. Some guy tries to buy like a super expensive limited edition cover, black and white, and he just shuts him down immediately because he finds out it's for his 4-year-old kid. And it's like, no,
what is he? What is he saying?
First of all, I want to know. There was no price for that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I would love to know.
But you got to think that man was just about to blow like $500 at least.
Well, that's the thing. I've bought like original pages from comic books. They ain't cheap, and I got to imagine covers are like uber expensive.
Top dollar.
Yeah. So I'm thinking he's spending a cool $1,000 easy. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
And he's just going to give it to his kid and let him just bust out the crayons and color all over it.
Probably. Exactly.
Yeah.
So. I love when he said, I don't remember the exact string of words, but he uses the phrase "an infant named Jeb." I love that he's just so pissed about it. He calls him an infant named Jeb. So good.
Pretty good.
So yeah, David Dunn shows up, and this is essentially when the movie is sort of set up right here. You've got Elijah Price, who is fragile and brittle and can break at just the slightest provocation. His bones will shatter.
Strong.
What is he at 54 breaks?
Yeah, it's a big number, and I know. Well, the last one was the spiral, the really I was like, oh, Spiral, that can't be good. And he's like, oh yeah, that one alone had 7 breaks or something.
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's brittle as can be. A strong breeze will blow him over. He'll break something.
Exactly. So yeah, so he gets it in his head like, well, if there's someone like me on this world, there must be like the polar opposite. There must be someone who's invincible. And obviously he's obsessed with comic books. Now, this is another scene where M. Night starts to lose his restraint and his trust for the audience, and he starts to hit you over the head with shit, where he's sitting in like at this desk explaining comic books to David Dunn. And he's like, oh, comic books are important, blah, 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 blah. And he's going on and on and on. And behind him is this like cool like facade on the wall of like Egyptian hieroglyphs. And next to that are some runes and like a picture of Jesus or something. And me as the audience member, I'm going like, oh, I get it. He's saying that like, oh, all these things are also sort of forms of comic books. And then he just outright says it. He's like, yeah. You see this stuff behind me is also like a comic book. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it, M. Night. You fucking, yeah, all right. Thank you for not trusting me to see what you set up for me.
Exactly. I agree 100% with it. You don't got to hit me over the head with it.
I got it.
I can connect the dots. Like,
it's pretty. Yeah, you're already highlighting it visually, very, very brightly.
But then again, like this is coming from you're a big time comic book guy.
Sure.
You know, if he's explaining it to like my mom, you know.
I guess so.
One of the few chuckles I do remember my mom having is the after this whole explanation, David Dunn says, "Don't take another sip of that water."
Yeah, that's pretty good. And you know what? That's such a mom dad joke.
Exactly, but that's so like good. What a real person would kind of like. You know, that's obviously we're both on the Elijah Price spectrum over here. Where more often than not, I'd say the viewers are along the lines of thinking like David Dunn.
Well, not anymore. I would say not now
anymore, right.
Now the mainstream is like everything is comic books and like everyone knows about the shit. But yes, right. I would say in 2000
we are the adults now. They're elderly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. So in David Dunn just thinks he's a crack. He's like, yeah, I think you're invincible. Like, and I love, this is what I love about like the first arc of this movie. I love that all Elijah has to do is say, have you ever been sick on the card? And that just eats away at David. Like, I feel like I would have the same reaction. I rarely get sick. I really just like, I'll go a couple years without getting sick. Never been like terribly ill. I've never hurt myself seriously. And it's one of those, like, as someone who just has a good immune system, thankfully, and like is able to fight off infections and all this shit, like no problem. It is one of those things where like, if someone came up to me and was like, hey, when was the last time you were sick? I would be like, oh, fuck. Oh God, have I ever been sick? And like, it would eat away at me for a second. And I love that that's all he has to do to get David to like go into an existential crisis about like his mortality. It's so good.
Great plot device. It gets the ball rolling for the rest of the movie. So I'm down with that. To me, it's kind of a massive plot hole a little bit. Not a plot hole, but if you were in a car accident, you would remember that car accident.
Yes.
If that's what I'm saying. Like all these major things.
This is the kind of stuff that I was talking about earlier when I was like, okay, the movie has flaws. I can give half-hearted defenses. Like repression is a thing. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like,
sure.
If he remembers it differently than it actually happened, that's a thing. You know, it was. I'm sure the car accident and the drowning were both pretty traumatic, and like human brains can. You know, I can give you all of these defenses, but yes, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's like, wait, he tricked his mind into thinking he was hurt so that he could be with his wife. Like, okay, that's a little weak.
Like, I don't know, if I went my whole life never getting sick, you're not going to hear me shut up about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but that's the thing. I do go a lot of my life without getting sick, and I don't really realize it because I've never been super sick. So like, I don't really know the difference. I'm sort of siding with David on this one, where it is one of those things where if you're not sick all the time, you don't notice that you're not sick all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no, I can remember, you know, I don't know. Maybe I get sick too much.
You probably get sick as much as a normal person, right?
Sure.
Yeah. You get sick when the weather changes or whatever.
I'm like, dude, you know what happened at a car accident. You know what happened.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I kind of agree with you, but then I understand that what M. Night is saying is like, no, he repressed the memory to trick himself subconsciously, and it's like, okay, it's a movie.
A whole flashback scene about it.
I gotta say, the guy that they got to play young Bruce Willis, that is amazing.
No, I was like, wow, they had de-aging technology all the way back
I did.
then?
I was like, this looks better than The Irishman. but no, that was just a guy who looked just like young Bruce Willis.
They didn't do anything. No CGI.
No,
because
definitely no CGI.
Spot on.
Definitely no CGI. If there is makeup, it's so subtle. But I don't think there's makeup either, because like later in like 2011, you get Looper, or 2012, you get Looper, where they do the prosthetic lip on Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which looks really good, but like it looks like a prosthetic lip. So I honestly think they just found a guy who looks just like young Bruce Willis. It's incredible. Every time I see the scene, I have a false memory that is just Bruce Willis, and they just hide him with shadow. And then at the end, you get that close up of him with where the light comes in, and you're like, who the fuck is that? That looks just like Bruce. That's crazy.
I got it. What's the name of this kid?
He's an actor. He's in stuff. I think he's a TV guy now. He does a lot of TV work.
Yeah, no, it was pretty.
That scene always blows me away, because I'm always just like, surely that's not just a guy who looks like Bruce Willis. Yeah. Davis Duffield plays David Dunn at age 20. And it's weird because you look at him now and it's like, that looks nothing like Bruce Willis.
Nothing like him. they did something. I'm telling you, whoever makeup,
it's incredible.
Whatever.
It's an incredible job. It's one of the greatest, old young castings I've ever seen.
It's kind of like one of my biggest, because that takes place near the end of the second act.
Yeah.
That's basically when he has the realization. Although there's little things that tell him he might be onto it, like the lifting weight scene. That was one of my favorites as a kid.
Yep.
But for the most part, the second act did run a little bit slow for me.
The movie is slow overall, and you're right. It does sort of hit this little like 10 to 15 minute stretch where you're kind of like, all right, let's. Okay, well, Elijah's visiting Robin Wright in the rehab facility.
Like we're hearing it all again.
He's got to sort of like clean up the mess he made, where like he introduced the idea that David was in a car accident and that he drowned. So then he has to spend a couple extra minutes like fixing what those things mean. And you're like, okay, so we got to talk more about this. Okay, sure. Like, I just want to see.
Yeah, I mean, we get the realization where David Dunn realizes that, the whole flashback where he realizes he faked the injury.
Yeah,
we get that. We know that as the viewer, whatever. Did Elijah have to get to that conclusion too?
Yeah, I don't.
We needed that whole extra. It's because they didn't give Robin Wright much, and they just needed it. No, they ended up include her in a physical therapy scene. But
right, yeah, honestly, they were like, well, we paid for Robin Wright. We should probably use her like enough.
The whole thing with her being opposite of, her is fixing the injuries where he's causing the injuries.
Right. Yeah, that's a little sloppy. I don't think that's a 1-to-1 thing.
Well, it just felt the whole time they were trying to give her more to do, but it just didn't.
Well, let's go back
it's all
a little
connected,
bit.
And it's it makes sense.
It does, yeah. It's just not the most exciting thing.
No. Yeah. I don't want to come to the same conclusion that I just did.
Right.
With Elijah, like, exactly. I think you faked it. Like,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, but let's go back a little bit, because there's a couple other scenes like before we get to this end stretch that I want to talk about. Obviously, the couple scenes with Elijah and David in the stadium where Elijah's sort of giving him more and more of his theory. Mm-hmm. There's a couple just really fun little scenes where like you get the whole idea that like David can sense evil.
Yeah, at this point you kind of get the picture that he's really strong. Because is this after the weightlifting scene? Or maybe
the weightlifting scene comes later than I thought, but it is one of those things where it's like, okay, if the guy survived a fucking train wreck with no injuries and we're like being led by one character to believe that he is invincible, or I'm sorry, unbreakable.
There you go.
Then I think you can, as the audience, ascertain like, okay, the dude's strong and resilient. And then Elijah introduces the idea like, oh, you have hunches about like people who are doing bad things. Like, you ever think about, what does he say? Developing. That was another thing where I'm like, you fucking nerd, developing it. Like,
I know that is very comic booky, right on it. Like, developing a power,
right? It's like a muscle.
Yeah. He says it a couple times. Have you ever thought about developing that skill?
Right.
But
there's that great scene where he like has the hunch about the guy with the gun, and he I love, this is the kind of shit I've talked about before on the podcast, where it's like, I love when people are good at their job and like they can show just really quickly in the movie why they're good at their job and how they do it well. Where he's like, let's start doing a random pat down, and he's like, oh, Elijah's like, why are you doing that? And he's like, sometimes people bring guns in the stadium, and if we start doing a pat down randomly, it dissuades them from coming in. And that guy in the camouflage suit, he looks a little sketchy, and he was like totally right. Like it was a really subtle way to get the guy out of line. It rules. I love that shit.
Great scene. Loved it.
Love that he's a security guard. I mean, it's so obvious, but it's so good.
I loved Elijah Price, Samuel L. Jackson's intensity about like thinking he could be like, he keeps pressing and pressing, like, and I love that. Like he doesn't let it go because he's like, no, his whole life depends on this. So that's why he's so insistent on it. But then you get this nightmarish scene
where he chases him.
He chases
the chase is so good. Yeah. So Elijah is like, okay, I need to see if this guy, because
Elijah Price is using a cane and he's already going a little slower. And this guy's
cane. Hold on, before we get to that, because right before that, we do get to see the Glassmobile.
Oh, we do see the Glassmobile.
His car rules. It's like this purple classy car that he opens it up, and it's just full of like padding and like it's like this elegant black leather padding, because like obviously if he's driving a car, it all has to be padded.
Well, yeah, if he got in a car accident, he will get shattered into like the glass cane.
No, he'll look like spoiler alert, the girl at the end of Old. That's like a huge 1-to-1 comparison. I was watching Old and I was like, that's just Mr. Glass.
Oh, right.
And she had brittle bones.
Right.
And she turned into an asterisk. Good ending. Anyways, he chases the guy down the street. And yeah, this is straight out of a fucking Hitchcock movie. It's like two guys chasing each other down a street. There's a stairway. There's a crate. I
just want to talk to you.
Oh, he's hobbling along. You can't catch up to him. He's not even getting close, which I love. I love that M. Night doesn't. The dude smokes him.
Yeah, the one you get one shot where he's rounding the corner and you don't see him anymore, which means he's actually losing him.
He's gone.
I love it.
Yeah, and then, but no, the staircase scene is amazing because he does this like Vertigo-esque, camera pull where like the staircase seems to go on forever, and you can just tell that this is going to be bad.
This is going to be scary. Yeah,
and it's so bad. It's so bad. The scene is so effective. Like the way he starts to like slip down one step at a time.
Oh, he slips down the entire way.
I know he's basically doing a board slide down the staircase.
He would have been better off sliding down the rail because he's not probably taking these steps how he should have.
No. And yeah, I mean, he falls, he trips, he falls, it goes into slow motion. The glass cane breaks, and I still can't handle this scene. It really grosses me out because
because you hear a crack and you don't hear him yell right away, and then you hear the second one, and this has to be the spiral that the doctor was talking about.
Yeah,
because instantly he just starts wailing.
Oh, I mean the great Samuel Jackson yell.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
this scene just freaks me out because it's like the whole movie. You're like, okay. His bones are made of like straw. Like he has made it clear, like his bones break so fucking easily. And as soon as he starts to fall down a concrete staircase, I'm going straight to 10. I'm like, okay, so his skull's caving in, his spine is snapping. Like I go straight to like the worst possible thing. Thankfully, like the scene is shot in a way that's like not super graphic. Like you don't really see anything break. There's nothing like super gross. It's just like the two impacts are so like there's a thud, and then when his legs hit, you hear the actual crack, and you're like, it's fuck. Like,
it's all audio.
It is.
And even at the very end, you're getting like little like.
But he sees the gun.
Yeah, he does see it. So it's all worth it.
David was right. He's validated.
Yep.
But yeah, the staircase scene is just like.
Oh, it's good.
It might be the most exciting scene in the whole movie, right? Like like this movie doesn't have a lot of exciting scenes. It's not a very action-packed movie.
Yeah, it's definitely this or the train station or
yeah. But yeah, I mean that's
bus station, whatever it's station.
It's a train station, I think.
I thought so.
Yeah, that scene just messes me up.
That scene's iconic because you just know what's going to happen, and when it happens,
right? No, you see, you're like, all right, so that guy's made of glass, and he's walking down those stairs. He's fucked.
That guy's going way too fast, and he's not handling. Yeah, no, it's brutal, rough to watch.
And then he ends up like upside down on the staircase, looking. Oh, it's such a good, yeah. And then you find out that I like the next scene that you see him in, where he's in the hospital, and the doctor's going over what the breaks are. And he just looks so despondent. Like, it's not like a thing where he looks like he's in pain or he looks upset that this happens. He looks like he's like annoyed that his life is this. Like, he's been through this over 50 times now. He knows the drill. So
I loved it, all that. But it's like you were just your whole life. This is the one time you should be a little vindicated. Like, crack us. Like, I don't know. I felt like he should have been a little happier because.
Yeah. You're right. Because that doesn't come till later.
You're right.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you just that's a big thing you just checked off. Granted, so you got 17 new breaks and a spiral fracture.
It's not doing great.
No, the spiral fracture alone will probably keep him in. That's why you see him even in glass in a wheelchair from that break.
Yeah, like, he's screwed. Okay, so the other couple scenes I want to talk about. Let's talk about the couple scenes of Spencer Treat Clark. So there's these two really good scenes where his son Joseph immediately believes like everything that Elijah's selling. He's like, yeah, my dad's a Superman. Like,
yeah, like any kid would, you want to believe, sure.
He loves his dad and he thinks his dad is invincible. And obviously David Dunn is just like, no, I've just got depression. Like, that's like his whole thing in the movie. But I think the first scene you see is the weightlifting scene. This is the first like major one where he like starts to believe it himself. David.
Yeah. This is I forget where he's coming from, but they're playing football outside.
Yes. Yeah. And
you meet the guy, the superstar athlete that the girl on the train, the scout, was talking about.
Oh yeah, that's him, right?
And he's Joseph is running off all these numbers and stats and whatnot, and he's like, "Oh, so I've heard." Well, David, you heard that from the lady that you were trying to hit on. That's now dead. So don't play so coy with that. But
yeah, he should have said that very haunted, like, "Yes, I've heard."
But doesn't play. Yeah, the kid is. I love how much Joseph loves his dad.
It's so good.
Guys, I can't play. I'm gonna go work out.
I'm gonna go work out with my dad.
And then even on the walk back, he gives him like a pat on the back, and he's just so like, I'm there.
Yeah, I love that. How do you feel about Spencer Treat Clark in this movie?
I thought they're good. I think
he's pretty freaking good. Yeah,
this is like honestly, it's kind of like 3 in a row for the kid actors. Because even though I have my problems with the Wide Awake kid,
he's not bad.
That's not. Yeah, that's not his.
That's the writing.
That's the writing.
Yeah, he's not great.
At this point, M. Night's on a roll with these kids.
That's what I was trying to say. Like, he's very good with kid actors at this stage of his career.
Yeah.
Because up next we got Signs. Got a Culkin and a Breslin. That's a good little combo right there.
That's a great combo right there.
That's what you want. But they go down to the basement, and David starts lifting weights, and this is a scene where I'm like, I'm calling bullshit. Like, fuck this. This sucks. He like lifts the weights. He's like, yeah, it was pretty heavy. Why don't you take them off, kid?
It's very dangerous, Joseph.
Well, no, the scene before that, when he actually puts the weights on, and then David somehow doesn't notice that he put more weight on.
Right. Because
what the fuck? Like,
look,
what
I go
physics
to the gym.
Are we acknowledging here?
I go to the gym. I'm never not going to know how much I'm benching.
Well, that's the thing. And also just not even common sense. Physics are at play, right? Like, you're sitting on the bench and your kid is taking weights off of the floor and putting them onto the bar, whether your back is turned or not, which is insane that his back is turned the entire scene. It's just like very unnatural. When you lay down to like grip the bar, you're going to look and be like, looks like you had 100 pounds there.
That's a lot more weight than you just had.
It's the thing. So like, I mean, that's the whole conceit of this scene.
It's excusing it's trying to tell the like his eyes don't work. I can kind of get on board that he's so strong that he doesn't feel the weight, even though it looks like he feels the weight because he gradually gets more red and grunts more.
Yes. Here's the only thing I can get on board with is that David is so fucking depressed that he just doesn't look around and like his surroundings just aren't breaking through to him. That's the only thing I could. Yeah, that's the only thing I could like. And even that, I'm like, no, you would notice. No, anyways, the scene itself after that moment,
cool scene, like
pretty great. Yeah.
When I'm watching this scene in theater, it's one of my favorites. As
exciting.
a kid. Yeah, it's sweet. And he keeps putting more and more and more.
It's also kind of cute because like it's like him and his son starting to bond, even if it is like a little. It's kind of a weird like stale connection they have. Like David isn't super energetic and like
Joseph love your kid.
Yes, but like
show your kid some smile once in a while at your kid, even though you don't like your wife. Smile at your kid.
Absolutely, and also I think he is kind of having fun with him here. Like at least halfway through, where he's like. What else do we have? And they like put paint cans.
Oh, I love that.
Like, that's fun. I also love when he tells Joseph to back up, and then like every time it cuts to like the next time he's like great. The next time he's in the closet, the next time he's up on the staircase, he keeps getting further away.
Yeah, there are some parts that are funny.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say funny. I would just say like, oh, that was fun. Like,
well, the cutback, every time he cut back, he got a little farther, and I don't know.
That's fun. But yeah, this is him like testing the limits of his strength. I love that it's not, Smallville, where like Superman's just lifting a tractor over his head with one pinky. Like, I love that he is exerting himself. Like, he has to work on this.
Mm-hmm.
This is still new to him.
That's part of that grounded that we were talking about. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
They don't go to 100 right away. He's like slowly got to work up to lifting 300 pounds, as opposed to like, okay, now he can lift the whole house. Like it doesn't go that far, which I love. I think that's the fun of these movies.
In that they capped it, because they used every single weight and paint cans, and that's all. There's nothing else they could put on there for the most part.
Exactly.
Like so we don't know his upper limit of strength. I did like when it's very subtle, but when he puts the bar back the very last time, it's so much. It makes a different. You can hear how heavy it is.
Oh, really?
Okay. Because he can. As soon as it hits, it's like, oh.
I mean, there's also there's that really fun camera move where like he lifts the barbell up, the camera goes up a little bit, he brings it down, the camera comes straight on his face, and then he lifts it back up, and the camera backs.
As Jane Newton.
Oh, we didn't even talk about James Newton Howard yet.
Well, he did the last one. He did
do the last one. I love the Sixth Sense score. It's a very good score. Yeah. This score, this is a score that I like listen to while driving around and shit. This is rules. And you
get that when he's doing the lifting, and it's starting to crescendo a little bit. And it's just like, it's great.
And I gotta say, this is the year 2000. This movie came out.
Yes,
the post-Matrix world, the rise of new metal. This is the rise of industrial rock. I kind of roll my eyes whenever a movie soundtrack uses the whole like techno-y drum thing. I love it in this movie. I think it is so good. The weird, like, where like you're getting the James Newton Howard like classical string score, but then like it'll crescendo to like the actual build, and then it'll do that. Like it'll like do this cool like drums behind it and it's sort of techno-y industrial sounding, and I think it's awesome. I think it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, sick beat.
Hell yeah. Sick beat, bro. Sick beats. Oh, yeah.
And it's no more apparent than the big third act at the train station. He's down. That's when it kicks in, and it's just like, okay, now.
Yes, there's another. Before we get to the train sequence, there's like two other like scenes I want to like highlight really quick. Mm-hmm. One of them's more of like, I want to just really quickly talk about the Robin Wright arc, which is small, but like I think she is such a good actress. I think Robin Wright is such a fucking good actress. No surprise there. I love that she is. Well, it sucks that she's given nothing to do in this movie, right? No good. We don't like that. What I love is every now and then Robin Wright's like, okay, this is a scene I can actually do something with, and she fucking like knocks it out of the park. My favorite scene of hers in this movie.
I want to try again.
Yes, and it's her reaction when he says no, like because she asks him if he's cheated on her, and she keeps like stalling for the answer. She's like, it's not going to change my answer. Mm-hmm. And she keeps stalling and it's almost like she doesn't want to hear it, or she's just uncomfortable with the silence. And then Bruce Willis just says no, like he hasn't cheated on her, and her face, she just immediately starts like this like quiet sob. Aces. That's some aces shit right there.
That's great. No, that is her best scene.
That's something that no one. You don't need that. You don't need that level of talent in a scene like that. You really don't. It's the Toni Collette thing. She didn't need to be that good in The Sixth Sense. She's the mother. She didn't need to be that good, but she makes that movie because she's so good. Now, obviously, this is a lesser degree. Robin Wright's not getting my Oscar nomination this year, but I do think she's quite good in this scene.
She's good in the scene. I always say, even when I saw it in theaters, I always thought this was this little thing she has like right here. It's like it goes, it's like really indented, and
she's got a real deep. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. For the audience, we're pointing at like the weird like in your throat,
right underneath
the
your
cave.
Throat. That cave. Yeah.
She does have a deep one. I know what you're talking about.
And in that scene, it's very apparent. And every single time I watch it, my eyes kind of go right there.
Right to the depths.
Yeah, and that's not fair for me to do that.
No, it's weird.
Yeah, but it's I don't know why.
That's weird that you said it. It's weird that you put it on a podcast and put it on the internet. Everyone's going to hear it.
It's out there now.
So there's that scene.
So in the comments, let me know if you agree about the weird.
Also, for any doctors out there, if you want to let us know what that is, just give us the medical term. That way I can send that over to Brent.
Until then, we're going to be calling it the cave.
You can check that out on Reddit. And have a good time. Yeah, no, the other Robin Wright scene that's like kind of, well, there's two. There's the date that they have, which isn't great, but the date comes after the gun scene, which is probably my favorite. Like, it might be my favorite scene in the movie. It's that or the staircase where Joseph finds David's gun and is going to shoot David.
Right. And there's some pretty nifty camera work here because the two parents are in the kitchen and they kind of got their backs turned, and the camera kind of just pans over a little bit, and you see Joseph sitting at the table with David's gun.
Well, you see, I think is the first thing you see is David. It's very reminiscent of the cupboard scene from The Sixth Sense, where you first see David's reaction to something that's happening off camera. Like you see David like see the gun, and he goes, "Joseph, what are you doing?" And like as the audience, you're like, "Well, what's he jerking off at the table? What's he so mad about?" And then the camera turns and you see the fucking gun on the table, and you're like, "Okay, oh boy."
Yeah, it gets intense pretty quick. And
righty, here we go. Second Amendment rights. All right.
Right. Well, right off the bat, he goes, "It's okay. It's not loaded."
Yeah. He doesn't know where the bolts are. And then the kid's just like, "They're in your fucking football trophy."
Idiot. It's loaded.
Did you load that gun? All right. So, okay, here we go. I love this scene very much. It's very dramatic. It's very over the top. I love how this is another case of how hard it is to do bad acting well, where David is trying to be like the macho dad, and he's so bad at it. Where he's like, "David, I am your father." And, the kid's like, "I'm going to fucking shoot you. You're going to see you're invincible. I'm going to prove you right." And it's a really intense scene. It's going back and forth. I burst into tears last night watching this scene when David's voice broke, when he just said like, "Because I thought that you and I were starting to be friends for real." And like his voice like cracks at that scene. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I just lost it because I've seen this movie a billion times. Love the scene. The scene always affects me but like I've never cried to that scene before. And just for whatever reason, like it's like his desperation to be a human being is finally like bursting out of him in this moment. And the fact that his voice cracks when he says that like him and his son are being actual friends for once, not that like, "Oh, I thought that like we were, having a good father-son relationship." Just the fact that like they're at the baseline of they can be decent friends. I love that. That is so important to him.
Yeah. It kind of makes you wonder why they weren't friends before, but
depression. It's David's debilitating depression.
Sure. No, I thought Bruce Willis and what's the son's name?
Spencer Treat Clark. That's the actor.
Yeah, I thought they were great in this scene for sure.
They're so good. Yeah. Again, Robin Wright gets essentially the only thing that Robin Wright gets
standing there.
She was good standing there. The great line that she has is when David's like, "And we're friends, and we friends don't shoot each other, right, Audrey?" And then it turns over to Robin Wright. She's like, "That's right, friends don't shoot each other, Joseph." Like she's trying to like discipline him. They're out of their depths. They don't know what to do with this kid. It's a kid with a gun. What do you do? And then I love that the scene ends with like, he puts the gun on the table. David immediately grabs it, unloads the gun, and they all just collapse on the floor. Like that's great. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's an emotional scene.
Yep, very emotional. And then the next scene is they go on their date, which isn't very emotional. It's kind of like, okay, they're going on a date.
I mean, I feel like right after, you take the gun from the kid, you discipline him, but whatever.
And then you probably don't go on a date. Again, there are flaws in this movie.
Yeah, this is.
But you know what? Actually, I'm going to backpedal a little bit. I'm going to backpedal on some of the flaws that I've been picking apart, because there's a moment in Split that I love so much that sort of like fixes all of the parts of Split that I don't like, and I think that it can be applied to this movie too. We're watching this movie. It is very grounded. It's very adult. It's very dramatic. You and I are kind of picking apart some of the logic of like, you wouldn't do that. That's ridiculous.
Right.
But I do got to keep remembering this is still a comic book movie. It is supposed to be a comic book movie at the end of the day, right? Like it is supposed to be kind of like, obviously this movie is a little subversive in like the way it's doing it, but like it is supposed to be kind of silly, right? Like a comic book. So like some of that stuff I'll forgive to an extent.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't pick up silly from this movie.
No, I'm not saying the movie is silly. I'm just saying like, we don't need to treat it like it's some kind of like austere, like,
And even my nitpicking of saying that the kid should be disciplined after that. I've never had a gun pointed at me. Like, I don't know how people, it could be a draining situation. It seemed like they were pretty drained after,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's just small nitpicks.
Maybe you need to go get a couple drinks and talk about your love life.
Sure. Sure. Like, oh, hey, our kid just did this. We need to do something immediately.
We need to run away from this as fast as possible.
So the date scene, nothing really, I didn't hate it. It just,
no, I don't hate it either.
This is that lull that I was talking about in the second act where it's like, okay, going through
the only thing I take away from the date scene is when she asks him when he knew that they weren't going to work out, and he responds with, I had a nightmare one day and I didn't wake you up to have you tell me it was okay. And that was when I knew we weren't working out. That's really good.
Well, you get a little, because the whole scene is set up for that, because you get a little payoff at the end.
At the end, you need that. And also, I just think that that's good. I think that that's like a really well-observed moment of someone realizing that they're maybe not in love with the person that they're with anymore.
You want to know what my biggest takeaway from, is actually right after the date scene?
What's that?
They get home from their date.
Yep.
The babysitter relays the messages.
The babysitter who Academy Award nomination for this babysitter. I think she's fucking hilarious. I love the way she's like, you guys were going to move to New York. Thanks for telling me. Like, that's a little sassy girl. I like her.
Yeah, no, she's good. She tells them the messages, says, I left one on the answering machine, whatever. Yep. And then she goes to leave and it's pouring out and she says, oh, great. And then proceeds to walk out in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Weren't they just gonna like offer her a ride home in the rain? I don't you know what? I'm gonna just tell myself that she lived next door, and I'm gonna just be done with it.
Sure, she probably lived on the street at least.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm gonna rush to everyone's defense. I don't want them giving her a ride home. They were drinking alcohol.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, it's really good that I said that. Woo! Thank goodness. All right, so this all happens.
Did not catch that. Yeah.
This all happens. Whatever. This is all happening.
Well, the drinks they were having on their date were non-alcoholic. So no, just
yeah. I forgot that he ordered O'Doul's. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
No, she was drinking non-alcoholic red wine.
Delicious.
Ugh. All right, so I'll let that little beef go.
Yeah,
let me scribble out that note.
Okay. You know what? I do have to reroute us really quickly just to a couple scenes earlier, just because we've been on a hot streak with you in classroom scenes. You really hate M. Night's classroom scenes. Now, we don't get a classroom scene in this movie. We don't get that.
Don't.
We do go to Joseph's schools though, because Joseph gets into a fight.
Yes, we do.
So I just want to, give you the opportunity. Was there any part of M. Night going to a school in this movie that really irked you?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I thought about this long and hard, and
I'm sure you did.
Joseph getting in a fight with a couple kids, trying to defend his dad, or trying to believe that he is like his dad, or find out if he's like his dad. That's believable. A kid would do that. An old nurse remembering a horrible story about a kid that almost drowned. That's believable too.
Okay, interesting.
That is believable.
So you're into both aspects of the scene.
Until no.
Oh yeah, here we
go. It works. There's everyone act. It was all realistic to me.
Okay, cool.
It followed up right after you get the explanation from Joseph why he was in the fight and whatnot, and you get this heartfelt scene like that story about the kid that was me.
Yes.
It's just a lot of lecturing and a lot of yelling and a lot of negativity from David to his son Joseph. So
I see that you're really hung up on that. Yeah.
Well, because the kid is all about his dad, and the dad is not about his kid. And if you want to pass it off as depression, whatever, you know what'll help depression? Feeling love. You want to know how you feel love? You be nice to people. I don't know. Sorry. I guess if it's clinical, that doesn't really work. But whatever.
Yeah. Anyways, you ready to talk about the last act?
Third act, baby.
Do we miss anything? I don't know. Elijah crashes into the comic books. He figures out the whole thing with the water weakness. You get the flashback. So it's all this kind of stuff, right? Like, we're not missing any big set pieces or anything, right? I mean, there are really no set pieces in this movie.
No, it pretty much, you go through the motions. First, you find out he's unbreakable or super strong. Then you find out he
maybe he isn't.
He has like a special intuitive ability where he can develop. And then the kind of right before the third act, you find out about his weakness, which ironically is shared by Elijah Price.
Okay, no. His weakness is that if he drowns in water, he dies, which is also my weakness. And I think your weakness, or pretty much everyone's weakness.
Yeah, water in lungs is not good.
No, they basically explain it that like, yeah, his weakness is water, which is a pretty shitty weakness because this is like signs where you're like, why would you go to that planet then? That's the one thing you're weak against. But yeah.
I it's whatever. I guess you needed something to be able to beat Bruce Willis's.
Yeah, and again, this is like a super grounded, like minimalist take on a superhero thing. It doesn't have to be like his weakness is uranium or something like that. It could just be like, no, he sucks at swimming.
Sure,
I'm into it. Okay, so third act starts. Well, I mean, we don't really need to do like a start thing. There's like just two awesome scenes we need to talk about.
Yeah, it's just at this point, David's a full-on believer, and he asks Elijah, "What do I do now?" And he says, "Go to a place with a lot of people."
Yep. So he goes to this train station. This scene kind of rocks really hard.
Rocks real hard.
So this whole movie has been pretty desaturated with color, like, or not with color, but like it's practically a black and white movie.
It's a lot of muted colors throughout the whole thing.
Really muted and really blue. Like it's like this kind of dark blue, sad, muted movie. And then you get to this scene and he like just cranks the mutedness, but then the couple of characters that he needs to like, telepathically learn about, those are bright as fuck so that you can keep track of them.
Yeah, you get that.
Which is cool.
You get the sick beat. You see him in his full range.
James Newton Howard drops the bass. Let's just say it.
Big time.
He drops the bass.
You see David Dunn rocking his rain security raincoat.
Okay. How do we feel about this as like his superhero costume?
I'm cool with it.
It's awesome, right?
It's his job. Security. It makes him. Of course, it's raining because we just found out that his weakness is water.
Right. So it's got to rain.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is I like this scene a lot. It's also kind of problematic, isn't the word, but like it's challenging to me because the whole idea of the scene is he goes out and he's going to start flexing his empathy muscle and start to read people's minds to see what evil deeds they've done so that he can stop crime. Now, It escalates, right? The first thing we see is a woman like stealing some jewelry behind some other woman's back.
Yeah. So first thing he does is he kind of sticks his arms out and kind of lets people bump into him because that's
much like Jesus. He is absorbing our sins.
Okay. All right.
David Dunn, Jesus.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, he's doing this. The first one we see is a woman stealing jewelry out of a jewelry case while the teller isn't looking.
Vibrant red jacket.
Okay, so this is where this whole thing starts for me. Clearly, David says, that's not good enough. He's clearly like, that's not the one that I'm here for, right?
I mean, at this point, he's still exploring his ability. Like he's still,
I guess so, but
flexing his muscle.
The way I read it was he looked at that woman, was like, no, I won't take her down. That's not the crime I'm here for. Okay, that's whatever. Then it is followed by it's a hate crime.
Right, we got
it escalates pretty
yellow jacket. Time.
He smashes like a black woman's head with a beer bottle as he drives by and yells, "Go back to Africa."
Right,
it's rough. That's rough.
It's really bad.
Now, David doesn't think this is good enough either. Now, this is what I'm starting to get like. Okay, Dave, you might want to go get that guy. Like that was no good. Like you might want to go take care of him. But no, this is not the person he's here for. The next one we see is
green jacket.
Pretty terrible here. A boy is about to rape a young woman who has fallen asleep. Okay, so this is no good. This young man is about to rape an unconscious drunk girl at a party.
Yeah, it's a really tough. I mean, the last 3 are pretty tough to watch.
This one's really tough. I mean, they're all terrible, but like this one is pretty.
I mean, I can excuse the old thief.
No, I'm not really. Yeah, that's fine. Get your money, honey. That's fine. I'm fine with that. What I'm not okay with is the hate crime followed by a rape of an unconscious girl, and David still is just like, no, that's not that bad. I'm gonna keep looking.
Well, okay. So to David's defense, if he didn't find anything worse, he probably would have. Okay.
Yes, I understand, but it is
just so happens that I like Elijah's line right before this. It shouldn't take long because that's how terrible people are.
I mean, very cynical but correct view of the world. Yeah. So anyways, this all happens. I really like the scene. I like what M. Night's like doing with him learning his powers. It's just a little tough when he's like passing up a hate crime and a rape, and you're like, wait, what's the thing then? Why are you stopping them?
I'm gonna pretend that he would have gone back if he didn't find something.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I don't think David's a bad guy. It's just weird, especially in today's climate. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's just gotten even more accentuated. But anyways, the final one he sees is like a guy who has like fucking broken into a family's house and like killed the parents and is holding the children hostage.
The last guy that bumps into him is this pretty big custodian decked out in like orange. So we got red, yellow, green, and the last one is orange.
Yeah.
This guy, big old guy in a jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Bumps into him, and one of the creepiest flashbacks.
Really, I think this is good. This is good.
Oh, I like your house.
Yeah, that's creepy shit right there.
Can I help you? It's super creepy.
No, you can't come in.
And he just comes in anyway.
I gotta say, the dad fucked up. The dad fucked up.
Close the door right away.
Why are you trying to hold the screen door shut? Close the fucking door. Close the actual door.
Right.
You had time. Anyways, whatever. Things happen.
How about this? You don't know the person on your front porch. They knock on it. Maybe don't open the thing up.
You know what's creepy? You know what's even creepier about that scene? I always took that as that was the back door and not the front porch.
It probably could have been.
It looked like the back. It didn't look like a front door, especially when you actually see the house. The front door looks pretty elaborate and like big.
Mm-hmm.
And the flashback scene looks like a small screen door, like at like near the laundry room or something in the back.
Well, then that creates an even bigger problem. Is this guy is in your backyard and you're talking to him, and it's like, it's just. So,
anyways, the guy breaks in and kills the dad and like ties up the kids and is like keeping the mom alive while she like presumably is raping her. Right? That's how I've taken the whole scene. Right. And Bruce decides to go and be a superhero.
He's like, as soon as he gets that like vision, his face changes instantly. He's like, oh my god, like this guy is real bad.
Yeah.
He follows them the whole way back to this house, still pouring, of course, and then he kind of just infiltrates the house where he has this family captive.
The scene fucking rules. This whole fucking sequence is incredible. He quietly like creeps into the house. I mean, he looks quite threatening. Like, he's got his hood on. He looks like a threatening presence. He looks like the specter of death entering the house. So, like, I can understand the kids being afraid, but he unties the kids from the bathroom. And then there is this incredible shot. I still don't know how he did this shot. It is remarkable. It doesn't really make any sense to me. It's the scene through the curtains.
Mm-hmm.
This shot's incredible because the camera is placed outside the window. And the window's open and the curtains are blowing. They're kind of like lacy, but like pretty opaque curtains. You can't really see through them, but like they're, thin, whatever, but they're waving in the wind. And somehow, I don't know if it was luck or if it was extremely well, like manufactured. I don't know how he did this, but like he's dealing with wind here. So I can't imagine that this was easy to pull off, especially with those thin curtains. Like those can't be easy to control with wind.
Right.
But on the right side of the screen, right on the right side of the frame is the door into the bedroom. On the left side of the frame is the woman tied up to the radiator. I don't know how he did this, but he timed the wind blowing into the curtains to when like David walks into the room. So like you can't really see inside the room. The curtains blow. And then on the left side, you see the woman and the radiator. And then the curtains blow back in place so you can't see her anymore. And then the curtains will blow on the right and you'll see David enter the room. And then they'll cover him back up. So it's like this weird, like almost strobe light effect where you're seeing them move without seeing the movement in between.
It's a great technique. I'm surprised it hasn't been replicated, and like because you don't really see, or you haven't seen it attempted. But
I would love to read how he did that. It's just incredible, and like he keeps moving towards her, and you don't see him move. Whatever, he comes and checks it out, and this is when you see the killer behind him.
Because David Dunn walks out on the balcony to kind of look.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back, you see the orange behind him just standing there.
And there's a good music streak. Yeah.
And then he just punches him right off the balcony.
Here we go. This scene also
this nightmare.
This is okay. I agree. I'm glad that you just used the word nightmare because this is the scariest possible thing imaginable.
No, this is a consensus. Everyone is terrified of this.
Ever been in this scenario?
When I was younger, I think there was, I went over to my aunt's house and she had the cover on like half of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like we would still swim. So every once in a while we'd stick our heads up on the other side of it. And then,
okay.
But it's not. So, it's not what David falls through the middle and it just slowly engulfing.
Oh my god! It does. It like eats him. It's so crazy. I had a pool when I was in like middle school, and I remember one day we had the tarp over the water, and I was like, it'd be kind of cool to swim under that thing. So I did, and let me tell you, it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool at all. Because when I came up to get air, it just suctioned onto my face and tried to eat me. The tarp is evil. So this scene is so scary. And the M. Night, like it's so well staged. Where he's like laying on the tarp.
He's terrified. He's not.
He's already choking on the water that's piled up on the tarp on top. Right. He's already choking on that. So he's freaking screwed.
Yeah.
But he lands on it in slow motion. You see the tarp start to fall into it, and then you get that
clip.
Yep. Yeah. And then you get that huge shot of like that bird's eye view above the pool, and you just see it like roll him into it. Oh,
that's a great shot. I love that shot.
That's a good shot.
There's
that's
a few
nightmare fuel.
You see a lot of the underwater, him struggling and whatnot, and I like every once in a while you kind of see through his vision and he looks up, and I don't know, it's all well done, very well done. It's
so good. Yeah, and I like that a lot of this sequence is in pitch black because like that's what he's seeing, which is so scary.
Yeah. Earlier in the house, he rescues the two kids quietly, tells them to be quiet.
Am I really buying that the kids like ran out of the house without the killer noticing and then they saved him out of the... No, but whatever.
Am I really buying that the killer didn't finish it or go check on the guy, or anything?
He stays in the room and is just like drinking beer while looking at the woman.
This is the biggest issue with the whole thing, because nobody, I don't care who,
it doesn't make any sense.
You want to say he's deranged, he's lost, I don't know. He's just, you don't stand there and let.
No, if you're a serial killer and you have abducted a family in their own home and you're just having your way with them for presumably a week because you saw the mail was all piled up at the door. And a hooded figure comes into the house and starts rescuing people. You're not just going to push him off a small balcony and be like, oh, that did the trick. Back to my raping. Like,
that did it.
You're going to go check things out, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing of being a serial killer is you cover your tracks, right?
Right. Anyways, the kids save him, and then David goes in and gets him in a chokehold and
uses my finisher, by the way.
This is your finisher, the sleeper hold.
Every fight I've ever gotten to, you put him in a sleeper hold, you end the fight.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
You've been in a lot of fights? You have been in a lot of fights.
11-0. I'm 11-0.
You're you've got a record?
Absolutely.
I'm not surprised. You're freaking like 6'3". Like, yeah, like
especially
you got a little bit of a genetic advantage on most people.
6'4", 240. You get behind them, put them in a sleeper hold.
They're not going anywhere.
No.
Yeah, it's a little unfair, honestly. You're kind of a coward. No, I'm just kidding.
Well.
Oh God, no.
To fight another day. No.
Yeah. So he puts him in the sleeper hold and
love the action. It's realistic, like we talked about earlier. He's getting
floppy.
Thrown. This massive guy in the orange jumpsuit, the killer, is just throwing David up against the walls. You're seeing the wallpaper break, and it's like it goes on for a good amount, which I loved it all until he finally gets him to the ground and his arms kind of flop down, and it's just like, oh, it's just
And I like that he goes and he unties the woman and then she just falls over dead. Yeah.
Good. Nice touch on Night.
So after
then we get to my favorite scene in the whole movie.
This scene's incredible. This scene's so good. Go ahead. Why don't you take it away?
After that whole arc of just like him saving the family, doing his thing, the next morning they're at breakfast. Or does he carry her up the stairs? There's a scene where he carries his wife.
Yes. So after saving the family, he does the most heroic thing a man could do. And he picks his wife back up to bed, brings her to bed with him, and reconciles their marriage.
Because he has a weight lifted and he tells her, I had a nightmare, which means he's back in that missing piece.
I got to say, that does it for me, man.
Love that. Absolutely
rules.
Love that. Just the whole.
And I also love the way that they filmed it.
Yeah.
Yes, because you can tell that you can tell that she is weightless to him.
It's nothing.
Yes, I love that.
Yes, it's so great. Good. No, I love it. And he feels so much better. So the next morning they're all at breakfast. You can tell she's talking a little bit. She's like, you know what? She's even in like protective mode again. Like, oh, we shouldn't even talk to Elijah Price. I'm calling the cops. Like she's a missing pieces back to her just from him being there. Love all that. And you so they're all sitting down for breakfast, and the camera is on Joseph's food, and
It's
out
cereal.
of the corner, yeah, it's cereal, and out of the corner you just see this newspaper kind of slide slowly over, and he looks up at his dad, David, and he kind of gives him like a look over there, like a little glance, look at the paper.
Yep.
And Joseph looks at it, and the you know me and the face acting.
Oh, okay. So he looks at the newspaper, and the newspaper has an image of a man in a poncho, and it says "saved," and it basically just details
hero saves family, or parents found dead. Hero saves two kids,
two children. Right? Yeah. Great. All good. Anyways, go ahead.
In a slicker, and you get a kind of a faded superhero image because the hero's in quotes because he likes to, as all heroes like to stay anonymous.
Right.
And Bruce Willis, Joseph's eyes kind of like light up. They're like getting really wide.
Yeah.
And oh my God, when Bruce is like, you were right. When he tells
I always forget he says you were right.
He says you were right,
and then he gives the little shush,
and they both start crying, and it's just like, oh my God, when he says you are right, and even the shush, like both at this point,
the shush is my favorite part. I love that he says you were right, and then the kid, like a one tear comes out of his eye, and that's when he shushes him, which I love. It's so good. He's like, don't tell your mom,
but then immediately he kind of like nods, like you're okay, and
he wipes the tear away, and he like tries to like bring himself back.
Bruce Willis, this honestly, it might be my favorite Bruce Willis scene that he's ever had.
It's my favorite Bruce Willis performance by a country mile. This movie,
it's impossible not to get stirred up with how David is. He's feeling so many things right now.
Yeah.
But the most thing that he's feeling is that he just loves his son, and he's proud of his son for being right, and he's just like, it's great, so great,
it's scene. Great, yeah. And I also love that, like, yes, David is probably going to come out of this happier, but I also love that he doesn't like wake up the next morning and he's like, hello family, like he's still pretty somber and quiet. It's just you could tell that he's starting to maybe like open up a little bit, which is good. I like that.
Yeah, maybe in a couple months he'll smile.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that. And then we get the denouement of the movie where he goes to the comic book gallery and the reveal of the movie happens, and it's pretty good.
I'm sorry, I know a lot of words. What was that one you just used?
Denouement. The denouement of the film.
Okay.
Just this kind of like this kind of stinger at the end, like the movie has come to a conclusion. We have to wrap it all up with this final scene here. Yeah. You get this little end scene where he goes to Elijah's art gallery, and basically you learn that Elijah has constructed all these terrorist attacks in order to find
even before that, you get a two on the nose from the mom saying that
right.
That there's always two villains. And this is kind of the whole
it's so obvious. Yeah,
you don't have to a little bit, but how there's always the soldier villain that fights him with his muscles and fights him with his hands or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then there's always the mastermind that fights the hero with his brain. So at this point, it's like, kind of.
Oh, okay. So he's gonna go in that room, and okay, cool, got it. And
you get a cool little Sam Jackson is just wheeling down the little ramps or whatever. It's kind of cool. He hits him in stride. I was like, oh, you must have been doing quite a few takes of this.
That's the whole joke of like how many times did it take the evil villain to swivel around in the chair at the proper time? He probably was trained, and that's basically what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then they shake hands.
I think this is the time we shake hands.
And Bruce Willis sees that he is the mastermind of all these terrible terrorist attacks. It's okay. I don't love this. I think the airplane one is really good, where he's the only one. He's sitting with his back turned from the explosion, and everyone runs to the window, and he walks away. I think that's really good. The hotel one sucks shit. This sucks. Where like he's sitting at a bar and some fucking guy comes up and he's like, did you know? I know secrets about that hotel. What? Who's this man? It's like when you play Dungeons and Dragons, or like you play like a MMO RPG, and some weird random NPC comes up to you and gives you a quest that you didn't ask for, and you're like, all all right, guy, I guess, yeah, sure, there are goblins in those woods. That's not what I'm paying attention to, but okay, sure. Like, that guy sucks. That scene, I don't like that at all.
Well, yeah, because it just doesn't make sense. You even get, I worked in that hotel for 35 years. Like, if this is just someone, is this a friend, or is just it just
that? And if you worked in a hotel for 35 years, it doesn't grant you the knowledge of arson and how it affects a building. How would you know that? That doesn't.
Well, I don't know. Work 35 years anywhere, you're gonna know.
Is he the fire chief of the building? Is like what? Anyways, I don't know.
Sure,
I feel like I could work 35 years in a building and not know how to burn it down properly. Like, it's.
I had a big problem with the very next one. The train conductor.
Yeah, he's like,
hey,
you're not allowed in there.
You're not allowed. There's just some guy. Oh no, he was just mistaken. Like, how do you just ignore a guy?
How do you ignore a menacing man in a purple leather trench coat slowly walking away from your control console in the train? And also, what did he do in there? Did he plant a bomb in there? Did he cut a wire? What?
Well, clearly he made a gadget.
I think this all sucks. I think like what it does is good. I think like what M. Night's trying to do with the final scene is good. I like the idea that Elijah is this horrible like terrorist. That's good. I think the execution's pretty poor.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends on a freeze frame with like biopic level like text.
Yeah, was not a fan of this.
Very strange.
Weird, really weird.
Yeah.
Like,
David led police to Elijah, and now he's in a mental institution. And
I'm like, wait a minute.
He is? Not this. No, this is a comic book movie. Like,
yeah, these people aren't real.
It's really weird.
Yeah, questionable call there, but
so like I said, I've got a lot of problems with this movie.
I don't think he didn't. Obviously, he didn't mean for it to extend into a trilogy.
Well, okay, according to him,
he's lying.
I agree that he's lying, but according to M. Night, he had always his original plan was to make this movie the entirety of the he was like, okay, I have this huge idea. And then he realized, no, I should make this just the first part. And then later in his career, he was like, well, now I can go back and finish what I had in mind. I don't fully believe that. Like,
no, that's a lie.
I'm sorry. Like, I just don't like whatever.
No, you've made good movies, dude. Don't try to sell me on your
this grand vision. Verse. Right. I don't need it. Right.
The night verse. Glass.
No. No, actually, it's called the East Rail 177 trilogy. That is the official name, which sucks. It is boring.
I'm not calling it that.
That's the official title.
I'm calling it the Nightverse.
You can buy an actual box set of all three movies, and it's literally called the East Rail 177 trilogy box set.
That's so annoying.
Yeah, it sucks shit. Anyways,
it's because Glass ended up killing Crumb's father on the same train.
Yes, it's all connected.
Oh God.
Yeah, dumb and bad, I think.
Yeah, it's not needed.
Okay, anything else on Unbreakable? Here's the thing about this movie. I think it has a lot of flaws. I also love this more than most movies. In my heart, it's like a 5-star movie, but in my brain, it's like a 4-star movie. And I don't know where that leaves me.
I was bouncing back and forth the entire time between 4 and 4.5.
Okay.
I went 4, and then I thought about it a little more. And then the breakfast scene happens. Yeah. And I bumped it up to 4.5.
Okay. I think I'm just going to leave it at 5. I do love this thing. Sort of.
I think I'm just going to say it's perfect.
I think that's just where I'm at. Just like in my heart of hearts.
But no, it's the breakfast scene for me. That it's a whole half-point breakfast scene.
It's really it's a knockout scene, and it's literally 30 seconds long, maybe.
And that's it. And it seemed even shorter this time. And
my whole thing is, I think The Sixth Sense is empirically a better movie. Just you can put them up next to each other, and it's almost like a math equation. Like Sixth Sense is better. I would rather watch Unbreakable any day of the week. That's where I'm at. So it's just, I don't know. This is a tough one for me, but I think it's 5 stars.
The only thing keeping it from being perfect is
all the nonsense that we've highlighted.
There's a lot of nonsense in it. It's a bit slow.
Yeah,
especially that second.
You know me, I like it slow. I mean, listen, I fucking talked about a Taiwanese filmmaker who's known for being slow at the beginning of this episode. So slow is not a bad thing for me. But I hear what you're saying. All right, let's talk upcoming movies.
I saw a trailer today that I was like, oh, this looks great. Are we going to talk about the same one?
Is it the same one? I really hope it is. This might be the first time.
I think it is. I really do. I had a feeling.
On the count of three, we're going to say the name of the movie.
Okay.
One, two, three. The Power of the Dog.
Counter.
Okay. Woo.
Okay.
Hell yeah, the card counter. You getting on board with the card counter? I love it.
Yeah, Paul Schrader, Oscar Isaac. It comes out September 10th.
Tiffany Haddish.
Well, I'm still on the fence with her, but she is funny.
Watch Bad Trip.
Girls Trip.
No, Bad Trip. Bad Trip was Eric Andre movie that came out earlier this year on Netflix that she's in, and I think
put it on and I turned it right off.
Funny. It's
a
weird.
Couldn't get past the first scene, and
it's tough. It's not my kind of movie, but I still liked it. But anyways, card counter.
Card counter. Oscar Isaac, Tiffany Haddish. You get Willem Dafoe.
Listen,
I guess Nicolas Cage recommended the kid that plays Cyclops in the new one. I think his name is
Ty Sheridan's in it. Yeah,
Ty Sheridan. Nicolas Cage,
right? Because they were in Joe together.
Yep.
Yeah.
And originally Shia LaBeouf was supposed to be attached, but he is going through some issues. Anyway,
that's certainly one way of putting it.
Yeah. Right. Paul Schrader, I think Scorsese is attached. I think he's either producing or executive producing.
Yeah, I believe he's produced. Yeah, they're boys.
We haven't. I used to play poker all the time.
Okay.
There's not enough poker movies out there. Rounders is excellent. Casino Royale is excellent. Molly's Lame was not good.
Molly's Game.
Well, no, Molly's Lame. It was lame.
Molly's Lame. Molly's Game's not great, but there's a lot of stuff I like about that movie.
There's some things that work. Yeah. Obviously, the Aaron Sorkin script, but no, there's not a lot of even Maverick. Did you ever see Maverick with Mel Gibson?
You ever see California Split?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, you got to check that one out. Robert Altman movie for the 70s with Elliot Gould. George Siegel. That movie's fucking.
George Siegel. I'm double down. Yeah,
that movie rules. It's just literally them like going around being losers and like sucking at poker. It's so good.
Oh, I love it.
It's so good.
It sounds great.
What about Mississippi Grind?
Didn't see that one.
No, Ryan Reynolds and Ben Mendelsohn.
Sounds like I should see that movie immediately.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I might, as soon as this podcast ends, go look at it.
Anyways, card counter. Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't get enough card games. I love poker. And I'm excited, and we both are insane Oscar Isaac fans. And
huge Oscar Isaac fans.
Looks like there's one part in the trailer where he's like smiling with all blood in his mouth. I guess he gets locked up at some point. So
and he's rocking the gray too, a little bit of gray hair.
You're gonna get a little bit of jailhouse drama.
I love it.
Obviously, anything that Willem Dafoe is in is going to be great.
Exciting.
So yeah, the card counter, September 10th, and I'm ready for it.
Paul Schrader, I love him. So
give me some poker any day.
Cool. The movie I'm bringing to the table is The Power of the Dog. Okay. I know you're a big Cumber bitch. That's kind of why I brought it. Was because, I brought it for two reasons. Cumber bitch, I feel like I could easily get you on board with this movie just by saying he's the lead. I'm not a huge Cumberbatch fan. I think he's good.
When we say Cumberbatch, people, that means Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes. Yeah, I guess out of context, if you just say Cumberbitch, people might not know what that means right away. Right. Brent likes the actor Benedict Cumberbatch.
Phenomenal actor.
Yeah, I think he's good. I don't often understand what his place is like in like the ecosystem of movies. He's kind of a weird guy where I'm like, he's kind of boring, but like also he's kind of fascinating to look at, and he's also like really good in Sherlock. So like I haven't
seen his best yet.
I kind of agree with you, but that's also like he's also like a mild Hugh Jackman case where I'm like, okay, well, it's been like 15 years. When's his best gonna be? Like, I can't wait. I can't give these guys that long a leash. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But no, I don't. I tend to like Benedict more often than I don't. But The Power of the Dog, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, Cody Spick-McPhee. Okay, already good.
What's the director?
Jane Campion. It's her first movie in 12 years. Her last movie was Bright Star, which was lovely. She's coming back to movies, and I love her so much. I love all of her movies, and I'm just so excited for her to be making a new one. I just found out that Johnny Greenwood of Paul Thomas Anderson fame is going to be doing the score. The person who shot Portrait of a Lady on Fire is doing the cinematography. Like this thing is just it's stacked from top to bottom, and it looks like maybe kind of sort of like a Western thriller. I don't know if you've seen the trailer or not, but Benedict seems to be the lead, but he also seems to be sort of like maybe some kind of sadistic cowboy type. It seems like it might be a pretty twisted little movie. And if I know Jane Campion and I know Jane Campion, it's gonna be horny. So I'm excited for that too.
Is there a release date trailer?
I don't know the release date for theaters. But it is coming to Netflix, I believe, in December. So I'm assuming it'll have like a limited theatrical run before that. But
I mean, lately Netflix has been throwing the budget at it with those names. So
yes, yeah. Power of the Dog, though. Yeah, I can't wait.
Power of the Dog.
Yep.
Sweet.
All right, I love that. You want to play the game?
We got a game today.
Time to play the game. Should I drop a Triple H song in here every time?
Ooh,
we play
big pass.
not a Hunter. I'm not a Hunter fan.
Hunter Hurst Helmsley.
Hurst Helmsley, yeah, my boy.
I mean, I don't mind him in the ring, but once I saw him in Blade Trinity.
Oh, sure, yes. I was like, what other context is there? I forgot about Blade Trinity. Yeah, that was a bummer.
I mean, yeah.
All right.
But yeah.
Anyways, we're playing the game.
Let's play the game.
You're gonna have to guess the top 5 Robin Wright movies of all time.
Okay, number 1, Forrest Gump.
Number 2 is Forrest Gump.
Okay, number 1 is Wonder Woman.
Correct.
There we go.
Wow.
Right. Is Wonder Woman 1984 in there?
It is not, because remember that came out during the pandemic, so it did not make much money.
Right. Robin Wright.
Yes. So, got number 1 and 2. Number 3 is a animated film that I hate and is by a director I don't really like, and it's a bad movie.
Right. Okay. That's not a lot to go on. Shark Tale.
No, I don't know who directed Shark Tale. This is a very well-established director who, for a brief period of time, decided to make shitty mocap animated movies.
Oh, okay. That's oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Beowulf?
She's in Beowulf. It is not Beowulf.
Oh, come on.
Beowulf is number 7.
It's number 7. Great.
You got the right director, though.
So it's Zemeckis.
Yep. He only made 2 other shitty mocap animated movies. And actually, Beowulf is good. But yeah, this one is dick. This one's absolute dick.
Yeah, I didn't hate Beowulf.
No, Beowulf's good. One of the Christmas movies that he made. He made 2 mocap Christmas movies.
Okay. The Polar Express.
It's the other one. The one that everyone forgets exists.
Are you kidding me?
It's so bad.
I didn't even see the Polar Express.
Yeah, it sucks.
I
mean, I hate these movies. They're so bad. These movies are so bad.
What? All right, let me know. What is it?
It is Robert Zemeckis's. Oh, I'm sorry. No. The title of the movie is Disney's A Christmas Carol, starring Jim Carrey.
I would never have guessed that. I didn't see that. Is that where Jim Carrey plays Scrooge?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
He also plays every other character in the movie.
Yeah, no, definitely wouldn't have got that. Whenever I think of Christmas Carol, I just think of Michael Caine and the Muppets. We talk about the Muppets Christmas Carol on every episode.
Michael Caine giving a Nobel Peace Prize deserving fucking performance. He's incredible. Okay. All right. That's number 3.
Oh,
number 4.
That's number 3. That means these next 2 must be.
No. That movie just made a crazy amount of money because it's a Christmas movie and they can release it every year and make more money. So that's why its box office is so high. Okay. Number 3. I kind of forgot she was in this movie, but it is how to describe this? It's a twisted little movie. It is a remake of it's a remake of like a foreign film that was a adaptation of a trilogy of thriller books that were huge.
Whenever I hear adaptation of a foreign film, I think like Ringu was so like
no, it's not a horror. It's more of like
Naomi Watts.
I mean, it's a good movie. This movie's more of like a true crime style thriller. And it's like a series of movies. Or I'm sorry, it's a series of books. This was clearly meant to be like a franchise starter, but it was only one movie, the remake. It's by a really prolific director that you and I both like a lot.
It's not like foreign. I keep thinking foreign. I was gonna say like the Percy Jacksons.
This movie is not a foreign film. It is just this is like an American version of it's an adaptation of like a book trilogy that was really big in like, I don't know, it was like Denmark.
Okay. Oh, wait. So the girl with the dragon tattoo.
That's it.
Okay, cool.
Yep. David Fincher's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Sweet. Glad I got that.
Sick little movie. All right. Number 5 is
That's of Daniel Craig, right?
Correct. Yeah. And
okay.
yeah. And
I didn't know. Yeah. I saw that one time, but good hints there.
I thought so.
Yeah.
All right, number 5, the last movie you have to guess, is kind of a austere, grounded take on a superhero movie.
Let me just say, Unbreakable.
Yes, correct.
Jesus, if I did what I did last week with The Sixth Sense.
Oh man, I was editing that and I was like, holy shit. He really didn't get it. I was throwing
No, you can edit that.
Chop it right down.
Right down.
Oh, that's so funny. All right,
but I did pretty good this week. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you kind of blew through him actually.
Go figure. Robin Wright over Bruce Willis.
Yeah, I mean it's an automatic win when you got Forrest Gump in there. It's like, okay, that's an obvious one.
Yep.
Wonder Woman obvious. Yeah. I think you did pretty good. Yep. All right. Anything else you want to say about Unbreakable, the lovely Unbreakable?
I will probably always enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
And there's just a couple scenes that I probably will keep coming back for. And that's the train sequence or just that whole arc. And just because I love the colors, even though as problematic as it is. And the money shot. I even wrote $signs, breakfast scene, $sign.
The money shot.
It's so good. Bruce Willis
the way he throws his lip.
And he's just he's so good at conveying burden.
So good. All
right. No, I'm good there.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Next week we got we're going to the farm next week.
Going to the farm.
We're doing signs next week.
I am so excited.
Yeah, me too.
I am so freaking excited.
See, wasn't this worth having to do fucking Praying with Anger and Wide Awake?
Ooh,
come on. Wasn't this worth it?
Let me watch Signs and I'll get back to you.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing Signs next week. Should be a jolly good time. You can follow us on Twitter at film_school_pod and on Instagram at film school dropouts pod. And we're on Facebook. Fucking follow us, like us, give us some reviews, whatever you want to do. And we'll see you next week when we go check out them aliens.
Yep.
My name's James.
I'm Brent.
And we'll see you.